Now then, 2018 is a new year, and with every new year there come new releases. And today, I'm going to list off to you guys my top 10 most anticipated releases of 2018. Now then, a little bit of a disclaimer here. I put the list in a particular order, so I was excited for this release, but it only said TBC 2018. That most likely going to means that it could get pushed back further and further into the next year. So I put those lower on the list, but just so you know, this is the kind of list that the order is going in. It's not in which is my favorite, it's just like which is most practical for me. Now then, first up at number 10 is a game that is kind of in controversy, and that is Psychonauts 2. The controversy, to sum it up for you guys, has to do with around how the game is being funded. It kind of has a, I want to say a site that is Kickstarter, but not Kickstarter, because it doesn't hold you to any legal obligation if you do not deliver the game, and you can just run away with the money, basically. However, I would say that there is some hope for this game. I don't want to say it's 50-50 exactly. I'd say it's more to say like, more realistically, it's like a 30-70. There's a 30% chance this game's going to come out, and there's a 70% chance it won't. But, I just from watching the Double Fine YouTube channel and all the updates they've been showing us, all the stuff they've been showing us on their developments of how far they've come along so far, I'd say that the game does have some hope for it, and I hope that they do deliver on it. I'm not going to wish for this thing to fail. I'm not going to point out the negativity of it, because I do think that that does affect how the game will do overall, and along with that, if the game will get finished at all or not. But I will say this, let's just hope for the best and be prepared for the worst, as some people always say in my life. Now, the next up on this list is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII was a really good game. If you ask many people who have played it, they will tell you basically the same thing. And now then, with this remake, it does seem like they're going to go with more of the battle style of 15. And even though I haven't played 15, I'll say this, the battle style does seem similar to Final Fantasy Type O. And I'm comparing to that because, you know, it's the only semi-current Final Fantasy game that I've played up to recently. But anyway, it seems like they're taking that more of a battle approach to the game than anything else. And not to mention that the game looks beautiful along with that. However, I will say that, again, it is possible for this game to get pushed back to something like 2019, 2020, you know. That's why it's kind of on the lower end of this list. And for some of you who don't know, I have played Final Fantasy VII, and I got through it recently. I actually just beat it last month in December, and it was really fun for me to go through. I really hope that the Final Fantasy VII Remake is about as fun, if not more fun, than the original. And along with that, I do hope they do keep the story and the characters along with it. But, you know, there can be changes for remakes, and I will say it could be for the best or worse, but I hope that this remake is at least somewhat fun, because I would love that. Now, the next up on the number 8 spot this list is Death Stranding. Now then, Death Stranding has been the project of Hideo Kojima, and if I butchered that name, I'm sorry, but the game so far looks very interesting, but all we've seen is cinematic trailers. I hope the gameplay is good so far. It does seem to have a little bit of that psychological stuff that was in Metal Gear Solid 5, and I do hope they use it. And if those of you out there who don't know who Hideo Kojima is, he's basically the guy behind the Metal Gear franchise. And I know that's just a broad blanket statement, but yeah, he's basically the face of it. So far, the game does seem to be very trippy and has a lot of weird things that I don't understand, but however, that could be explained with the story that goes on. I hope that maybe we get some gameplay footage sometime of Death Stranding, because I really want to see how this game is going to play out. And what else that, weird baby in the throat really means, actually, because, I don't know, there's a lot of weird things that the baby could mean. It could mean, hey, new life, let's start again, or sort of like a game over screen, I don't know. But that baby does look really funny. Now then, next up on number 7 at this list is the God of War game that is coming out this year. And now then, Kratos seems to be switching from Roman, I think it's Roman, to Norse mythology. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please do. But anyway, it does seem to be fairly interesting from the gameplay and the stuff that we have gotten so far. All the cinematic trailers and all the gameplay that we've gotten. It doesn't look like it's going to be one-to-one with the past God of War games. It definitely is changing up the perspective and keeping some of the old combat mechanics in there. But instead of Kratos having the Blaze of Chaos, he now has an axe that kind of acts like a boomerang that you can call back to you. Along with that, he does seem to have a son. And when this game, I'm going to think, is going to act like a bit of The Last of Us. Not that I've played that game. But anyway, people did point out that Ellie wasn't just a helpless companion who was along the way. And I'd say that Kratos' son is going to be maybe like the Ellie of this game. A small child you're going to have around with you who will be probably the most helpful person to you. Then again, you could have a situation where this person is going to be the most annoying person that you would have to take care of. But it doesn't seem like that, again, from the gameplay that we have gotten so far. The kid actually seems quite a bit helpful. And I really, really, really hope that we learn how Kratos got such a magnificent beard. Now, the next up for the number 6 spot on this list is Vampire. It does seem like it's going to be an interesting game so far from what we've gotten from gameplay and trailers. The game does look to be, what do they call it? Gothic Victorian style? I don't know, but that kind of art style that seems very grim but beautiful at the same time. That's the art style that this game seems to have so far, and I'm actually kind of digging it a little bit. The combat mechanics seem to be, I don't know whether to call it Dark Souls' combat mechanics or not, but that could just be something else. But that's what the combat in this game does kind of remind me of. It does remind me of Dark Souls in a little bit of a way. I don't know why and I don't know how, but it does. Along with that, it does seem like there is going to be some narrative stuff you can do to impact the game in some way. Certain characters that you can say certain things to in order to, say the least, change of how certain situations will go. And if they do happen to have a major impact on the story, then, yeah, I would say that might lead to just the game being ultimately different in the end. Maybe it could be that if you spare this guy, kill this guy, and this guy, and this guy, but then spare this guy again, then it could lead to one ending or another ending. I don't think it'll be having, a lot of endings. I just think at minimum it might have one or two. That's about it. Now, the next up on the list at number 5 is We Happy Few. We Happy Few seems to be a game that is taking place in a, I want to call it a future or a society that is kind of stuck in the mid-90s. You know, it's not 1950, but it's also, not 1980, if you know what I mean. And it does seem to revolve around a lot of different things. For one, the combat mechanics do seem to be more of a first-person kind of thing, like you would have in Skyrim with, not swords, but some sort of melee weapon, something to help you get around and such, and a lot of sneaking around too. Along with that, there's going to be this drug in the game called joy, which is basically supposed to make everyone see something that is supposed to be depressing and cheerful as joyful, happy. There's nothing wrong with this world. Just be happy, be happy, be happy. Take some joy. That's going to be basically what everyone wants you to do is take your joy, take your joy, take your joy. And when you're on the joy and off the joy, the worlds look completely different. It's not only eerily creepy of how the world is while you aren't on joy, but it is also quite colorful and beautiful while you are on joy. Maybe that can help you find paths to different spots while you're in this game. You can't see something while you're on joy, and you can see something while you're off joy. But however, it does seem like the guards are able to detect whether you're on joy or not. And if you're not on joy, then you have a little problem, my friend. Now then, next up at the number 4 spot on this list is the Marvel's SpiderMan game that is coming out this year as well. For one, the game seems to be taking a lot of combat mechanics from the Batman Arkham games. And I'll say this once, if it's not broke, Don't fix it, improve, and expand on it. And it does look like they're doing a little bit of that here, because Spider-Man doesn't just have to punch or kick enemies like Batman does. He can now fire web slings at people in order to tie them down, and along with that, there are stealth takedowns that you can do with the game. Along with that, it does seem to be very fun. I really would like to go around the whole entire city again, just swinging from building to building, crawling from building to building, and having that whole entire not just being a stealth game, but actually being an important kind of superhero to this whole entire game. And along with that, it does seem like the villains of this game is going to be interesting. It's taking place after the first Spider-Man, but I don't know which other Spider-Man it's taking place before of. Give me a minute. Speaking of spiders. Now, the next up for the number 3 spot on this list is Code Vein, or however you pronounce that last one. But this game does seem to be interesting. It is taking heavy inspiration from the Dark Souls games, and I really am quite excited for this game. It does seem to be very interesting. It does have the Dark Souls gritty style to it, along with some of the combat mechanics along with it. But along with that, you can actually have a NPC partner with you. And it does seem to be taking more of a anime theme to Dark Souls, to say the least. Anyway, this game not only looks fun, it looks visually appealing, it also looks like it's going to have like a very, very interesting story so far. And it does seem to revolve around this some sort of red mist in some way, and you need this some sort of mask on. I hope the game does turn out to be extremely fun and somewhat like Dark Souls, as with the challenging and a little bit of the combat mechanics. But I also hope it does do some stuff to differentiate from Dark Souls. Like, I don't know, maybe have some sort of long-range weapon other than a bow or crossbow to it. They can probably do something. I don't know. I just hope this game is really, really, really fun to play, and I am quite excited for this. This release is really late into the year, though. It comes out December 31st, 2018, but however, this one can get pushed back. Just saying, it doesn't have the TBC. It has an actual date of when it's getting released. Now then, next up on this list is Digimon Story, A Hacker's Memory. Now the Digimon Story, A Hacker's Memory is going to take a lot of the mechanics from Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth and add a few onto it in terms of hacking and possibly the wider variety of Digimon that will be in there. There do seem to be some Digimon that weren't in the original Story Cyber Sleuth, such as Monochromon, Triceramon, and the rest of Dianamon's line. However, there do seem to be other mechanics in there, such as a new hacking skill that allows you to move faster, which I really want this thing to just work correctly and be the best thing it could ever be, because the old Story Cyber Sleuth was like extremely slow for me to go from the one end of the dungeon to the other. However, it does seem like that this game is also taking place at the same time as Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. As in the trailer, you can see that the famous scene where Nokia fuses Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon become Omegamon is seen from a different angle, and an event where the Eaters start making a bunch of hackers go down and causing them to get Eden Syndrome gets one of the teammates who you'll be getting in the game. However, it does seem like they're also adding some new gameplay elements to this game, and I really do hope this game is not only an improvement on Cyber Sleuth in terms of gameplay and story, but I do hope that they do add a wider variety of Digimon, which does seem like they have already done. And I really, really can't wait to try out that new Digimon with the fusion of Apollomon and Dianamon. I forgot his name, but yeah. Now then, before moving on to number 1, here are a few honorable mentions. First off, Shadow of the Colossus. I never really got to play this game back when it first came out, mainly because I didn't have a PS2 back then, and I didn't even know this game existed. However, it does seem like this game has gotten not just a cult following, but is a very, very popular game. And with its remaster on the horizon soon, I really, really hope to try out this game just to see what the big deal is. And it does seem like the game is going to be very beautiful, and the Colossus giants, whatever they are not just somewhat terrifying, but they're also beautiful in the sense that they are somewhat domestic. and a little bit violent too from just some of them. Not all of them, obviously. I do know that a lot of them, Colossi, that's what they're called. I know that a lot of them are just calm. They don't want to harm anyone. They're just there. But it really does look beautiful, just to say. Now the next honorable mention is Far Cry 5. Far Cry has been a series that I've been wanting to get into, but again, for me to get into the series, I'd have to go back all the way to the PS3. Currently don't have that on there, though I think Far Cry 4 is on the PS4. However, I don't like the jungle setting for that kind of thing and how certain things play out. However, the new Far Cry 5 taking place in an American town with a whole entire cult thing does seem a bit more interesting. And along with that, I really, really would like to play with the NPCs that I can use on the side. Like, there will be a sniper guy you can use, there will be another person who you can use for a flamethrower, there will be someone who you can use to pilot a plane and take out enemies in the sky and such. I really can't wait for that to happen, because it seems like it's going to be a little bit of a breath of fresh air, but also using a lot of what made Far Cry, even though I've never played one of their games. Now then, for the final honorable mention is Concrete Genie. It does seem to be very weird. You have a kid who gets to use a brush, and what you brush onto the wall is art that actually comes alive. Not only does the art that you brush on there look very beautiful and actually alive, because it actually is, but it does seem like you can also create creatures to help you solve certain puzzles and stuff, and I really hope it does turn out to be a very interesting game. I don't think it's going to be like a very, very, very good game. I think it's going to be somewhat of a, oh, this is a very interesting game. Maybe it might even get a cult following in a few years. But this game does seem to be a game that is not just very beautiful, but very expressive with all of its artistic stuff. Because you can put certain things here, you can put a certain way here, you can make scenery here, and you can make certain monsters or stuff here to help you solve certain puzzles. I can see this game doing that. And along with that, there seems to be another person who has a magic brush, so I don't know what the story narrative for this game is. I'm interested. I'll look into it a bit more this year. Now then, finally at number 1 is Monster Hunter World. Now, the Monster Hunter is one of my favorite series so far. I've only played 2 games of it. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate and Monster Hunter Generations, and this game is extremely fun to go to. Not only is the action quite fun, but I like how the leveling system is. Like, you don't actually level up, it's just you, the hunter, getting better and stronger. This game is entirely skill-based. It's not level-based, like, once you get to this level, enemies get harder and harder. It's like, no, the leveling is, the monsters can be hard, like, all the time. What really matters is your own skill and your own study of the monster. Every monster can be either easy or hard for you. For me, the hardest monster for me to fight is a Rathian. For some reason, Rathians and me just don't get along, and I don't know why. I can handle Rathalos just fine. I can handle the Azure Rathalos just fine. I can handle the Silver Rathalos just fine. But once I get to the Rathians, let's, to say the least, I don't like Rathians that much. And once I get into this game, if I find a Rathian, I'm just going to go all out ballistic on it, because I just do not like Rathians that much. But one of the main things that I like about this game is how much it's changing from Monster Hunter. For one, it's making just the one whole entire map, just one big worldwide... Sorry. It's making a hunting map instead of a map with sections that load, just one big kind of open world map that you can go through. This is the first innovative step for Monster Hunter, and I'm really, really excited to see this. Along with that, you get new mechanics, new ways to hunt and harm monsters, new ways to track monsters. This game just seems to be doing so much for the Monster Hunter genre that I really, really, really hope it does have a big impact, and it does seem like it is going to be a good game. The beta was extremely fun for me to go through, and extremely memey about. But now then, that's just my top 10 anticipated releases for this year. What are your guys'? Please do let me know in the comments below. Also, subscribe to the channel, because that does kind of just help me out a little bit, even though no one will probably watch this video. But yeah, for now, this is Ice signing out. Peace.